Welcome to the show. I'm Jason Whitlock, and I'll tell you why the Sixers made a huge mistake embracing Meek Mill last night.
And I'm Cowherd, and I'll tell you why we just got even more proof Baker Mayfield shouldn't be the face of an NFL franchise. Speak for yourself starts now. I feel so strongly about this. I'm going to bring in all of it today.
The NFL draft just around the corner here on Fox. All right, hello and welcome. We're joined today by Fox college football analyst Matt Leinart and Pro Bowler D'Angelo Hall. Let's start with the NFL draft, where speculation is heating up about which quarterback will go number one tomorrow. But one guy who's out of the running for the top spot, Josh Rosen, just created some heat of his own. Rosen has been dropping in some pre-draft rankings, in part due to his reputation for arrogance, but the quarterback let it fly when asked about his sliding prospects yesterday.
I've always been the number two guy. Coming out of high school, Ricky Town was the dude. He was going to SC, I was going to UCLA. He was number one in the country, I was number two, and he was going to bring USC back to the promised land. Blake Barnett, after Ricky kind of faded away a little bit, Blake Barnett was the Elite 11 MVP. He was the dude that was going to go to Bama, win a couple championships, and call it quits, go to the league as a first overall pick. You don't really hear about him too much. Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, these dudes that are these exotic, cool, like flashy quarterbacks, that number one pick, all this stuff, and I'm number two. And you know what? I'm going to sit here, and in a couple of years, when all is said and done, I'm confident that I'll still be standing.
Colin, he sounds like a little cowherd. Do you like that confidence?
Yeah, I like it. They're words. I'm always concerned when cockiness becomes actions. Actions become suspensions, fines, injuries. Listen, two things: elite arm talent and super smart. Start naming the failures at quarterback that had those two.
Well, 22-year-old guys that are the smartest guy in the room have problems. The smartest guy in the room should be reserved for someone my age, 38-ish.
How old are you?
I'm 50. But no, so I don't particularly like this because this is an argument Baker Mayfield should be making. You know what? I walked on two different places and won the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson could make this, hey, no one really wanted me. I went to Louisville to play quarterback and won the Heisman Trophy. I haven't seen Josh Rosen exceed expectations yet. He was the number two player coming out in his class, and he had a good, solid career at UCLA, but I didn't see any Heisman trophies. I didn't see any real unexpected performances or team performances or whatever. So I get where he's coming from. It doesn't bother me a great deal. But I'd rather hear that coming from Baker Mayfield or Lamar Jackson.
It's almost like he's kind of fallen into the trap of those guys. He's now getting into that stuff where usually he's just an outward thinker. He's a different guy. He is the smartest guy in the room. He knows it, and he'll tell you it. And I don't necessarily think that's a problem, especially at the quarterback position. And D'Angelo, I know you got to gain the respect of your teammates when you go in as a rookie, especially as a quarterback, especially as a highly touted quarterback. I kind of like the cockiness. And he, after reading that quote or watching that, he really reminds me of Aaron Rodgers. If you remember Aaron Rodgers coming out, went to, Butte College, right? Didn't really get recruited, goes to Cal. And he went to Cal by chance. Actually, one of my buddies was supposed to go over him. He ended up going to Purdue, so they took Aaron Rodgers instead. It's a true story. So he's always had a little chip on his shoulder. And then playing at Cal, he was really arrogant. I mean, we played against him, and he was flipping off the stands. I don't even remember that. He was an arrogant guy, but that's what made him great. And I see a lot of Rosen in Aaron Rodgers, So I think at some point you have to go out there, you produce, and you talk about durability. He didn't have a tremendous career at UCLA. The team wasn't very good as well. Took a lot of hits last year, couldn't stay on the field. But this kid he's got a special talent, and you said it. He's smart, he's got a big arm, and usually that produces.
Yeah.
I mean, what does he's smart really mean, though? You know what I mean? Like, you've played the position in the league, and I played DB, so I've had to match wits with guys like you, quarterbacks who are presumably the smartest guys in the room. But in actuality, it's not really the quarterback that's gonna win or lose that game. You know, we talk about Josh's career at UCLA. They were, 6-7 this year? And for a team that's 6-7, having fired their head coach, and we're telling everyone that the quarterback is the best thing since sliced bread and he's the smartest guy in the room and, you know, he should be the #1 overall pick, to me, you find a way to win, period. And having to step into the National Football League and into that locker room, guys aren't going to like his approach.
Yeah, I agree.
And to say he's like Aaron Rodgers through this process wasn't like that. I think we see the Aaron Rodgers now, and you said in college he kind of did similar things. I played against Aaron in a bowl game. I came out the year before him, so it was my last year, I guess his junior year. Did he stay 3 years? And he lit us up, and he never once gloated or rubbed it in our faces or anything. I mean, it was a shootout, 48-42. And I became a fan of his, and I knew the name. And so the following year, I saw him sit in the draft room all that time, and I'm like, man, this dude is a beast. How is he, haven't gotten drafted yet? Right. And so, yes, he had a chip on his shoulder.
But it was developed, maybe.
It was developed over time. And I just feel like he's coming out the gate saying, hey, I'm this good. This is why all these other guys are going to be sitting around, at home watching TV essentially, and I'm still going to be playing and be a great player. Everyone wants that, assumes that mantle and says they're going to be that great. But when you step on that field, it's other guys who are working just as hard as you and want to be just as great, if not greater than you, or have bigger chips than you. You know what I mean? Bigger chips on their shoulder than you have.
We always kind of feel like, I really like authentic people, but there is a game to play for 2 months before the draft. There really is. And there are things you shouldn't say. Josh isn't willing to play the game. So is that problematic?
To me, it is, and to me, D'Angelo and I think, talked off air a little bit about RG3 the other day. Another guy that came into the league, no pressure, no diamonds, and just a lot of talk. And then when he got hurt, it was T-shirts and a documentary and this campaign. And at the end of the day, the NFL at that level, it's all about the work you put in. The work will dictate your success. The talk doesn't do a lot. There's a new boss in town at Buffalo Wild Wings, and he deals in bacon. It's the Bacon Boss Burger, featuring bacon 3 different ways and a blanket of white cheese sauce. And he's joined by other new favorites like the smothered cheesesteak quesadilla, sweet chili shrimp, and Alaska cod classic. All pair perfectly with a Sam 76, a fruity ale with the crisp finish of a lager. Hurry in today and try them all before they're gone at Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports, available for a limited time while supplies last. Please drink responsibly.
All right, to another cocky quarterback, Baker Mayfield. Just like Josh Rosen, Baker doesn't seem to be adjusting his attitude as he heads to the pros, which he made clear in the latest episode of his docuseries, Behind Baker, with a former walk-on turned Heisman Trophy winner telling an interesting story about a call he got from a big-time NFL agent.
Buzz Cook, Brett Favre's agent, great story. He went on his, every agent does the same thing. They give their resume, what they're about, all this stuff. And then finally, when he was about to give me a chance to talk, he asked, so when did Bob Stoops start recruiting you? And I said, excuse me? And he repeated the question. I said, yeah, I got to go. And I just hung up.
Whitlock, should Mayfield ditch the chip on the shoulder mentality?
Probably. I actually like this story. It's an authentic story, and he caught Buzz Cook with his pants down. He hadn't done his homework, and so I don't blame him for moving on. That's not going to be my agent. But does he need to tone it down? I think yes. And I understand he walked on 2 different places and had amazing success. That's going to give you a confidence. But football is the most humbling game, I think, more so than even golf, because you hear a lot of golf people say that. But football humbles you and humbles you and humbles you. Save this. Like Michael Jordan let you know he had a chip on his shoulder after his career. I just don't understand why no one saves it. Just let that burn on the inside. Why does it have to be shared with everybody?
Why? But my thing, and we go opposite because I know he hates Baker Mayfield. But I love Baker Mayfield. I think you either are on the camp of loving him or you're the camp of just you can't stand him. The reason why he's so good, and he's a great football player, and we'll see if it translates to the pros, but he does, if he didn't have a chip on his shoulder and he wasn't emotional, we wouldn't even be talking about it. He probably wouldn't even get drafted. He might not even make a camp. So how So you're asking him to take away from this stuff and these stories, and I know the police video is very bad, I get that, but like the antics on the
Not
field.
as bad as he makes it out to be. Continue.
I don't understand why people are so turned off. It's the same thing with Rosen, why they're so turned off with his personality. Everybody has a different personality. Great quarterbacks. Tom Brady's different from Manning, different from Rodgers, different from Big Ben, different from Phillip. Phillip Rivers is got a little arrogance to him too, talks more crap probably than any quarterback, and he backs it up. But that's just him. That's what he feeds off of. So I'm in the camp of, listen, he's got to go out there. He's got to prove it at the next level. The kid can play. He's proven that. He's a great football player. I think that can translate the way the NFL offenses are shifting to. But let these things fuel his fire. That's what feeds him.
Rosen's cockiness is words. Words disappear into the ether. Baker's cockiness become actions. I'm going to throw a football at TCU during warm-ups. I'm going to literally get arrested. I'm going to get cops pull me over, and I'm going to run for it. I'm going to jam at Ohio State sooner. I can live with cocky words, but cocky actions become suspensions, cheap shots, fines, tear apart locker rooms, confrontations. That Buzz Cook thing. Okay, so let me ask you. So he hangs up on Buzz Cook. What happens if a teammate or a coach doesn't know his backstory? Look, D'Angelo's got his own life. Do I have to know every recruit's backstory? Is he going to hang up on a teammate, a coach? Like, again, Rosen's confident words disappear. Hang up, run from cops, throw footballs.
Heisman Trophy.
See, yeah, the reason I can stomach Baker Mayfield a little more is because the story, the background we all know. Him walking on 2 places, him winning a Heisman Trophy. I know this kid can work and will work and has worked. The thing with Josh Rosen that just has me just confused about him as a prospect and as a person, this is a guy who complained about being the number 2 quarterback in his class, or not winning the MVP to this guy or that guy in a 7-on-7 camp. He wins 6 games in college, or 6 games his last year in college, and I just want to see more. At the end of the day, I want my guys to know how to win football games and be a football player. And I feel like with Baker, I get that. I get the football player. Part of his cockiness, I've mentioned it before, is similar to being like a DB. I feel like he has that DB persona and swag. And so I can stomach him a lot more, maybe because of the results he's produced, as opposed to a Josh Rosen, who I feel like still hasn't shown me enough to even be considered a top pick.
Okay, so you mentioned when you came out, you liked yourself a little bit. That's what you told me.
Absolutely, I did.
Would you have trusted you as quarterback your first year?
No, absolutely not.
Okay, so you're Baker. So what I'm saying is, I don't mind my DBs. You're on an island out there.
Yeah.
If you don't have confidence as a corner, you're a dead duck.
But you know what, Colin? You talked earlier about playing the game. I knew how to play the game. Like, I would sit in that combine room and I could play the game with any head coach you put in front of me. I mean, I was coached up to perfection. I mean, literally everybody, like my coach in Atlanta, who's now in Kansas City, Emmett Thomas, who's a Hall of Famer, he jokes with me all the time. I saw him at the combine. Man, you fooled us. Because I turned into like a monster, so to say. He was able to control me, and it could have been a very bad monster, but I was able to rein it in and listen to the advice of a lot of the older guys. And I wanted instant success. And so for me, it meant working. When guys were out hanging out, I wanted to outwork them. That's how I became better than the next guy. But did I talk a lot? Absolutely. And would I have trusted myself after I've been in that locker room and understood what it was like? Yes. Just initially, just saying, hey, this is who you're getting. Do you trust this guy? No. But having been in wars with me and teammates know that, they know that there was no guy that ran harder through a wall.
D'Angelo's point as it relates to Baker Mayfield is, that's a guy D'Angelo and other players in that locker room will be attracted to and may want to follow.
Yes.
That's what I think his defensive Baker Mayfield.
You think so, like, as a DB, I know as a quarterback, it's all about, okay, your offensive line, your guys, the whole team, but you want to gain the respect. But his antics and the emotions, that's something you respect about him. If he's in your locker room next year and you're like, I can handle the crotch grab, I can handle the flag, you know.
I mean, some of the stuff obviously he has to grow up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Some of the stuff. But
the fire and the passion.
Yes, the fire and the passion, that's what makes guys want to play for Phillip Rivers. You talked about him earlier. We were in the same draft. And I can remember at the rookie premiere out in L.A. and him and Ben and all these other guys just competing as hard as they can. And Phillip just talking cash money trash to all of them about who can throw the ball the furthest. And I think Antrell Roll actually. No, not Antrell. He can throw it, but I think Larry Fitzgerald ended up actually throwing it the furthest out of everybody. But I heard Antrell can throw it pretty far too. But just the competitiveness of those guys, like, that's what you want to see. You want to see that fight. I think part of the problem with Kirk is we never saw that. And so guys kind of always question, was he in, was he out? Yes, where I didn't.
All right, welcome back. Matt Leinart, D'Angelo Hall return. Let's return to the NFL draft, where Lamar Jackson's NFL future has been the subject of intense debate the last several weeks. Arguments still going on about whether he has the passing ability to play quarterback at the pro level. According to the NFL Network, an unnamed NFL offensive coordinator said Jackson won't last as a quarterback, but our Joel Klatt appears to be thinking otherwise, listing Jackson as the fourth best quarterback prospect in his final pre-quarterback draft rankings. Whitlock, is Jackson to you worthy of a first-round pick?
This will sound like criticism, but it's not. I wouldn't take him in the first round. Look, Drew Brees went in the second round. Brett Favre went in the second round. Tom Brady went in the sixth round. Russell Wilson went in the third round. I think there are too many questions about Lamar Jackson for it to go first round. And it starts with the management choice and not going with an agent. And it goes from there just in terms of how his thinness and if he's going to run in the NFL. You run into that Lions den, there's too many Lions over there. You're going to get popped. He's not Cam Newton. He's not going to survive that. So to me, he's a second or third round pick. I certainly give him an opportunity to play quarterback in the NFL, but I don't go first round.
Well, I think he's a project. Two quarterbacks in this draft to me are projects. Josh Allen, who has a huge arm, but is inaccurate.
Top five for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I think.
And Lamar Jackson. They're not ready to play right now. Now, I think Sam Darnold, Josh Rosen, Baker can come in and play. I like Darnold more than the three, but they can play.
Baker Mayfield?
No,
not on your draft.
I don't love him. No, but I'm saying I see him as Case Keenum.
Got you. No, I got you.
But I think Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson have one thing that I can't get away from. They were inaccurate college throwers. The windows get smaller, the DBs get better, the coverages get more complex.
Yeah.
So to me, he's a project. I believe first rounders, I got to open up a wallet. You got to play. I'm not sitting guys, I'm drafting ninth. You got to start. If I'm bringing D'Angelo in, you're our two corner. I'd like you to be number one by the end of next year. So I'm not, but by the way, Josh Allen and Lamar are both going to go first round. And I think Josh Allen's going to be the most overdrafted player by a mile in this draft.
I think you make a point. I don't think it matters if he goes first round or second round. I think he's a few years away from really developing. I will say this about Lamar Jackson and just watching him play the last 3 years, and a big difference from Josh Allen. Josh Allen, last 2 years, 56% both years. Horrible. Playing at Wyoming, didn't even make all conference. I'm not knocking him. He's a big physical guy, and he could be good. Lamar Jackson went from 54 to 56 to 59% in 3 years. So he improved every single year. And on top of that, as a quarterback, he's probably coached by the toughest quarterback coach in maybe college football, and Bobby Petrino. Bobby Petrino runs a pro-style offense, the pro-style concepts. So that was something Lamar Jackson has been learning. Now, obviously, you have to take that. You have to take those concepts, learn, and be able to play at the speed of the NFL level. That's going to happen. But he is prepped more than Josh Allen going into the NFL.
Yeah.
And on top of that, again, I said earlier, but the way these offenses are shifting with the RPO and getting the ball out fast, that's Lamar Jackson. That's Baker Mayfield. Guys that we all in quarterback rooms, to make it easier, you always cut the field in half. You keep cover two, you look this way, single high safety, you look one way, and you just go 1, 2, 3 check down. So you really simplify it as a quarterback. That probably be done for guys that come out of those types of systems, Baker Mayfield, Lamar Jackson, but that's the way. We saw Nick Foles kind of do that in the playoff run, the RPOs, getting the ball out quick. I love Lamar Jackson. I think he's got a lot of talent. And on top of that, he's probably the best athlete in the draft next to maybe Saquon Barkley. I mean, the kid's special. Give him some time, and he could be really good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with Matt here. I definitely think Lamar Jackson is a first-round talent. Will he sit? Yes, he will. He will sit because I envision him going a place that allows him to sit. If you force him to play right away, then you're going to struggle a little bit. You're going to struggle. You talk about the inconsistencies. The inconsistencies throwing the ball downfield some. But that's not the role I see him right now. I see him, like you said, him being a project, a kid who sits for a year or two and really understands. It's not really the offenses. You talked about Petrino. I played under him. He is an offensive mastermind.
Yeah.
So I think Lamar Jackson is more pro-ready when it comes to offensive schemes than the next guy. It's the defenses and reading them that's going to give him a little bit
He has
difficult.
two big advantages. If you watch what the Bears are doing with Trubisky, it's a lot of college stuff. If you watch Tennessee and Mariota, it's a lot of college stuff. It is now accepted. It's working.
No, it's accepted. I don't know if it's working.
Okay, that's fair. The other thing, the other thing, because I think Lamar's it's gonna eventually work if he gets the right system. The other thing is, Bobby's an NFL coach. You know, Josh Rosen had a defensive guy. The Wyoming guy didn't have an NFL guy. The one thing Lamar's got going for him, he is used to an NFL language, an NFL barker. The NFL, Petrino's intense.
And demands.
He's not a college coach. Bobby doesn't put his arm around you. Bobby demands. So Lamar's like, he hears the barking. Oh, that's what I just dealt with for 3 years. So I think he has an advantage over Josh Allen in that sense. He had an NFL college coach.
Best case scenario to me, based off of this conversation, it makes me think double down on if the Patriots get him, that's the ideal situation.
Yes.
Sit behind Tom Brady.
2 years.
Belichick and Josh McDaniels coach him up. And I think they figure out a way to use him early in his career in a different way than just playing quarterback. Please go to New England. All right, welcome back. We're joined now by NBA champion Eddie House and the founder of the Big Lead, Jason McIntyre. Let's move to Philadelphia, where the 76ers knocked off Miami last night to close out their first-round playoff series. But the win was somewhat overshadowed by what happened before the game, with rapper Meek Mill taking a chopper to the arena after being released from prison and getting a hero's welcome from his hometown crowd.
Welcome home! Let's go.
All right, Cowherd, do you like the Sixers playing up Meek Mill's release from prison?
I'd rather him play up the Sixers, who are, of every team in the NBA, if I said, who's the really fun playoff team? You'd be like, okay, the Sixers. They may not be the best, that's Golden State. They may not be the most exciting, that could be Houston. They don't have LeBron, but it's a pretty remarkable story that they are now becoming the most interesting thing out east for the first time in a decade isn't LeBron. And they just won their first playoff series in like 6-7 years. So, you know, once you get into an athlete's arena, I want to talk about the athletes. And this is the Ben Simmons arena and the Joel Embiid arena and the Sixers arena, and they should have been the story to me.
An inconsequential rapper is the story. And he was just treated like Nelson Mandela was freed from a South African prison. Helicoptered to a basketball game. That's the first thing you do when you get out of jail. I wore a hat today for a specific reason. I want to tip my hat to Rock Nation, who has put together a wonderful marketing ploy and strategy to turn Meek Mill, who was known for being clowned by Drake, to the Tupac Shakur of 2018. That's what they just did. A guy that was a laughingstock. They just took 6 months worth of narrative and convinced everybody he's an important person, an important rapper, and now he's ready to sell music. Hat tip to Rock Nation.
I see why not play to the fans? Why not play to the millennials? To your point, who's Joel Embiid's fans? Who's Ben Simmons' fans? The millennials. And that's who they like, Meek Mill. So why not play to that? They were wearing free Meek Mill stuff. So, hey, man, that's a way to get everybody involved. The night is going to be electrical with Meek Mill coming. And then, to be honest with you, man, they had to think about it. After Drake put out back-to-back, right? Yeah. Whooped him with the back-to-back. Something else happened back-to-back. He lost his woman and he went to jail. All right, so they need to build him up somehow, man. I'm not mad at it at all. I don't think it's that much of a big deal, but again, it's good to see somebody get out. I know what they were going for. At the end of the day, he was in for a probation violation for popping a wheelie and didn't have bond. And that's where everybody was outraged about the injustice with that, when the guy in Tennessee that killed those people at Waffle House, he had a $2 million bond. So it doesn't add up, and that's really what the whole Free Meek Mill was about. It wasn't about the rapper that they love him so much. It was about he should at least have an opportunity to bond out on a probation violation.
I actually see it the opposite that you did, Colin. When you look at Meek Mill's situation, and he was the story. This was everywhere. This was on the Today Show, Good Morning America. Maybe it was to take the pressure off the young Sixers. Like you said, Ben Simmons is 21. Instead of making this about, oh my goodness, the process, and they're going to the next round, can they go to the finals? It's, hey guys, let's not really talk about the team, not put any pressure on them. Let's talk about this rapper who just got out of jail. We get some street cred.
Stop it.
So somebody on this show last
Stop
week
it.
said something about Lamar Jackson would give the Patriots some street cred. Okay, this Meek Mill thing gave the Sixers a lot of street cred. I actually think it was
Didn't
good.
they already have? Everybody loves the Sixers. They're like the best story
but they're
in the
not
league.
like they're not like street cred like they, you know.
Ben
Russell
Simmons
Westbrook
isn't popular?
No, Russell, that's not street cred. Russell Westbrook has street cred.
Yes.
You know the difference between street cred, hood cred, and
Yeah, no, I
Yes,
know.
yes.
And you know,
You know
what?
what I mean?
Russell Westbrook ain't selling a bunch of shoes. Russell Westbrook ain't winning a bunch of basketball games. Russell Westbrook plays in OKC. He's relatively inconsequential, and so street cred is a bit overrated. Allen Iverson had all the street
Yeah, he
cred in
did.
the world.
He did, yes.
Michael Jordan didn't have street cred. Who still is selling the most shoes? Michael Jordan. It's all overrated. This is a publicity stunt by Rock Nation and a publicity stunt by Michael Rubin, the owner of the Sixers, Bob Kraft, the owner of the Patriots. It's all a bunch of virtue signaling. It's no substance, but let me pretend like I'm on the side of the people. I'm down with Meek Mill. You're down with a hashtag. That's all it is. Again, his music before this was nothing.
He was a non-fan.
It was, but
I don't want to say that. He has some knockers,
No,
though.
come
Yeah,
on.
no, he has some knockers.
know.
Yeah.
No.
He
He
has
had
some
some knockers.
Yeah,
That's right.
He has some knocks.
did.
He has some knocks.
But again, not songs of substance. Not he
Well,
doesn't.
who's got songs of substance nowadays?
Drake certainly does.
But they're acting like Chuck. They acted like Chuck D was incarcerated when it was really Vanilla Black who was incarcerated and who got clowned by Drake. But again.
But Jason,
Rock
what's
Nation.
wrong with one day of doing this? We're going to talk about game one when it comes around. We're going to talk about.
I'm gonna play a card people hate.
Okay.
Sends a horrible message to the kids, and it really does. We just put a guy on a pedestal who's accomplished nothing, hasn't stood for anything, but you got Kevin Hart and the whole arena bowing down to this guy. Terrible message to the kids.
I still don't know what a knocker is. Oh. The Sixers win last night, put an end to Miami's season, might also put an end to the career of one of the great players really in the game and Heat history, certainly Dwyane Wade. He was asked after the game if he planned to retire, but said he wasn't ready to make any decisions yet.
That's not my focus. Fresh off this NBA season, my 15th year, I sit back and think about that. Then I dive and throw myself into my family. They're next and on my bucket list of making sure I'm there for them. And then when it comes to the basketball side of it, which is a long time away from now, then I think about that. But right now, I ain't concerned with it. I love Philly, but ain't gonna be no breaking news here in Philly. I'm sorry. So I appreciate y'all concerning, but we'll worry about that later.
That's actually pretty self-aware. He didn't want to break the news in Philly. I knew I loved Dwyane Wade. Should he retire?
I think so. Look, he could squeeze another year or two out of his career, make $5, $6, $7, $8 million, I guess. But I see Dwyane Wade moving into a front office position if he wants, a prominent broadcasting position if he wants, whatever he wants to do, acting, whatever. I would like to see Dwyane Wade step away. This is he returned to Miami. He won him a playoff game. He the only good one they played. This would be the perfect time to walk away.
Okay, you know I'm not into stats.
I don't believe you.
I'm not into stats.
You about to run one right now.
Here's a knocker for you. The only time I think about stats is when you're at the end of your career. If Dwyane Wade plays another 60 games and averages 4 points a game, it pulls down his career average. And this is a first ballot Hall of Famer. Like, don't mess with it, dude. It's like you got the rings, you got the money, you got the stature, you have the respect, you have the legacy, you have the cred. Don't average 4.5 a game, and it pulls down your averages. Like, you are an all-time, not only a great, that he has the self-awareness in the moment to go, I'm not breaking that story in Philly. I'm giving it to Miami. That's another reason I love Dwyane Wade.
D-Wade's one of my favorite players of all time that's played this game. I had an opportunity to play with him, be a teammate with him. And selfishly, no, I don't want him to retire at all. Well, I love watching him play. I love his leadership that he has, even though he's coming off the bench. Now, I still think he can still give you something. It won't be I think a 70% D-Wade is a lot better than a lot of these guys that's out there at 100%. And this is the thing, if he still feels he can play, if he still feels that he could go out there and he still has that itch and that love for the game, there's no need to quit. But one thing he's gonna have to come to grips with is coming off the bench and not being able to be the exact same player that he has been. Now, if he could wrap his mind around that and understand, hey, I'm not going to be the same exact D-Wade, I'm not nowhere near Flash, but I still love the game and I still love competing, then why not come back?
Eddie, I don't know, we're talking about a 36-year-old guy, and you're seeing what's happening with Carmelo Anthony in Oklahoma City. And I would look at Dwyane Wade in the eye and say, Dwyane, I know you're in better shape than him all the time. You're not a three-point shooter, but dude, do you want to be that next year? Do you want to get clowned for looking awful and going 3 for 14 every other night?
Look like that.
I just don't think it's necessary. You know what the move is? The move is to go to the big three. Seriously. Start a team there. Maybe you're the face of the league. They had Allen Iverson. Now maybe Dwyane Wade takes that baton. I think he can stay in basketball that way because people love Dwyane Wade. He is immensely popular on social media, and everybody up here says great things about him. And I feel like, listen, you don't want to be Akeem Olajuwon, 39 years old, playing with the Raptors, okay, and averaging like 5 points a game.
No, he'll retire in Miami. And the thing, if he goes to play in the Big Three, think about this, okay, he still loves the game and wants to play. He's only 1 year removed from the NBA. Why go play in the Big Three when you could finish off in the league? He could still contribute. He'll be a double-figure scorer next year.
Jumping on flights, Eddie?
He'll be. It doesn't matter. He's conditioned to that. He's conditioned to that.
Away from your family that he just talked about?
A lot of people enjoy that.
Eddie House and J-Mac are back. Let's return to the association where LeBron and the Cavs look to regain control of their series with the Pacers tonight in Cleveland. Cavs have struggled against Indy so far and just narrowly escaped Game 4 with a win, but they did. Pulled them back from the brink of elimination, sure did. Whitlock is tonight a must-win game for LeBron and the Cavs.
Yes, I do believe that because I think if they go down 3-2, Indy going home, I think the Indy crowd will be enormous and emotional. And I think going into that building, Baker's Life, you've never been to Baker's Life. I just bought 3 tickets to that game, by the way. I don't think they want to step in that hornet's nest. I kind of expect the Cavaliers to win tonight.
First of all, Indy is Toronto, is Milwaukee, and Washington. They don't have the DNA to win a big series. They had LeBron in the ropes. Ball, 2-1 lead, at home, close it out, and they gagged. Darren Collison's taking shots. Certain organizations don't have it. The Cincinnati Bengals are not a step-up franchise. The Tampa Bay Rays had years with all this talent.
You know how many ABA titles the Pacers have won?
Oh, God.
When was the ABA?
The Pacers had LeBron on the ropes and couldn't do it. He could go down tonight. He could go down, and it doesn't matter. Eventually, in a fourth quarter, Victor Oladipo will shrink. I wish it wasn't true, but a lot of pro teams just don't have it.
This is definitely a must-win. I think it's every game here on out for the Cavs is a must-win. Not only this one, I think the one in Indianapolis. If they don't win this one, every game is a must-win for them. They have to win. They don't have the luxury of giving away games. I just don't think they're that good right now. You only have 3 guys averaging double figures. LeBron with 32, Kevin Love with 12. He's not showing up. J.R. Smith, you don't know what you're going to get with him. He's averaging 10. Everybody else is below that. You don't know what team. They have 5 guys. On top of that, they have 5 guys shooting under 30% from the three-point line.
Wow.
That's including
and they're
LeBron.
Still going to win this series.
That's
what does that tell you
LeBron.
about Indy?
So, but I'm kind of nervous. I'm saying 51-49 for the Cavs because of this reason. You don't know who's going to show up. They've been consistently inconsistent all season long and all series long.
Or is it a must-win? You're talking about the oldest team in the playoffs. Offensively, they can't score. They're 15th out of 16 teams in efficiency. And this is what I love the most, okay? LeBron is a free agent in 2 months. You think if they lose this game, that it's not going to be total pandemonium from the owner, the front office, Ty Lue, Kevin Love. Kevin Love can barely hold a basketball. He's got the thumb injury. Let's not crush Kevin Love. But this team right now, if they lose this game, they're going to be on pins and needles. It's going to be ugly if they lose. They cannot lose this, Colin. You know
That's not a good argument.
Colin,
No.
hold on. Think back to
If they
game
go
3.
down, you don't think there's going to be some pandemonium and chaos?
Remember,
It's going to be pandemonium and chaos in Indiana if they go down.
LeBron James in the fourth quarter was so tired he couldn't get back on defense. Game 4, he's out of gas. He played 82 games, led the league in minutes. He currently leads the playoffs in most minutes per game.
Well, you know
the
why?
guy's tired.
He has to be out on the court because nobody else is showing up. The Cleveland Cavaliers, right there, do your job. That's all you have to do. Role players, do your job. If you got supposed to hit a 3, hit a 3. You're supposed to set a screen, set a good screen. You have to do your job. Give this man some help because nobody else is really showing up. LeBron is the only consistent on there, and that's why he's dog-tired, and he's picking and choosing when to play defense.
You had him. Darren Collison took the big shot.
Let's move to Oklahoma City, where Russell Westbrook will be on the floor for tonight's Game 5, despite rumors he might be suspended for his role in a scuffle in Game 4. Instead, Adam Silver did nothing. Russ got a fine and a tech, and now he'll try to bounce back after a humiliating performance in Monday's blowout loss. Cowherd, do you think Westbrook plays smart tonight?
No, I'm sure he'll play better. I mean, he'd have to. He's been awful. But I don't think that's who he is. I think right now he's damaged. He had a fourth quarter that he didn't take a shot. He's damaged. He's hearing the crowd. Ricky Rubio's in his head. He's biting at the press. He's not in a good spot right now. Now, if let's say tonight Paul George and Melo are on fire and they win, and then maybe he can get a couple days off, watch the NFL draft in Oklahoma City. He gets into a better spot. But the question is, will he play smart tonight? He shouldn't be playing. He ran onto the floor. He is a damaged guy right now.
I don't think he'll play smart for the reasons you talk about if the pressure's on him to deliver the game. If Paul George or Steven Adams or Carmelo Anthony carry this team and take a lot of the burden off of him, I think he'll play smart. But if Carmelo keeps being Carmelo and Paul George has an off shooting night and the burden for winning the game falls on Russell Westbrook, he will do dumb things that will cost them the game. Utah is a better coach team. It's a smarter team. And Donovan Mitchell right now is the best player in this series.
That's 100%. Now, I want to ask you guys, what defines smart? Because I think if we asked you, what do you think is smart? You'd say putting players in position to succeed, distributing, not taking bad shots, not shooting 21% from threes. But if you asked Russell Westbrook, what's smart? He would probably say, I take the game over, I do everything, I get a triple-double, we win. I just don't think he's a smart player. And that's not a knock. He's a good player. He's just not smart. I mean, the guy takes bad shots. He's a turnover machine. He let Ricky Rubio get in his head. Okay? You know what he is? He's Kobe Bryant post-Shaq. I can do it all myself. I got Smush Parker. I'm going to get buckets, and I'm going to lose in the first round. I think that's what he is right now.
Well, give me Kobe any day, please. I'm trying to say, I don't know what you're looking for, but I'll take Kobe all day. Russ will be fine, okay? I think he'll press the reset button, take a few steps back from what he was doing, the individual challenge that he had, and I think he's going to play fine. He needs to get a triple-double for them to have an opportunity to win. If he just plays his game, that's all he has to do. Don't focus on Paul George. Don't focus on Carmelo. Play your game. You're going to focus on them by getting them involved, but don't worry about making them happy and making sure they get shots.
Don't worry about making your
No,
teammates happy.
you don't have to do that because he's been trying to do it. Melo has 4 points in 4 games in the fourth quarter, 1 for 9. So I don't care about you being happy. Obviously, you're not making me happy. So I ain't worried about your happiness. And to your point, you said he had, what 2 points or how many points?
He didn't take a shot.
So do you want him to take shots
quarter.
or not take shots? You can't have it both ways. Because you say he's selfish, he dominates the ball.
If you're the MVP.
So what is he supposed to do? Is he supposed to take all the shots or is he supposed to get guys involved? You can't have it both ways.
If you're the MVP of your team, you can't not take a shot with Ricky Rubio guarding you. Again, this is not Tony Allen. This is not Jordan's Bulls. Utah has a rookie and Ricky Rubio in the backcourt. You can't be shooting 33% in the fourth quarter.
Colin, I think if he took 20 shots in the fourth quarter, you'll find a way to kill him and say he's
Well,
too
he did
aggressive.
that against Houston last year,
He
and it
say
failed.
he's too aggressive. See, so he didn't take last year.
There's a
It failed.
happy medium,
Yes,
Eddie.
Yeah, he got to get a triple-double for them to win, and that's the only.
I-
Listen, it's winning and it's misery. So if you winning, you happy. If you losing, you miserable. So get a triple dub and get your
I think
win, man.
Jason made a great point in terms of what is playing smart tonight. And I think it's about getting to the free throw line, getting to the rim, and getting some shots off, even though Gobert is there. Making the referees put you on the foul line. When your jump shot's not going and you're Russell Westbrook and Ricky Rubio is your primary defender, or whoever they put on him, he can get to the hole. He's got to figure out a way to deal with Gobert when he gets there, make him foul him, get to the free throw line. That would be a smart Russell Westbrook instead of early in the shot clock, jacking up some wild three-pointer when he's not a three-point shooter, or doing nothing but dribbling the ball and then tossing it to Carmelo at the last minute to jack up a bad three. That's not smart
Remember
basketball.
what happened in game one, the one game they won. Paul George went nuts from three, and Alex
Playoff
Abrines
feed.
came off the bench, and Russell Westbrook found him, and he hit a bunch of threes. Russell Westbrook needs to create, as Whitlock said, not jack up all these shots.
All right, welcome back. Time for last call. Let's move to Philadelphia, where the Sixers got some high praise after they eliminated the Heat last night, with Dwyane Wade saying the team is the future of the NBA. But Colin, today on The Herd, you said the Celtics would win the title next year.
Yeah.
You really think the Celtics have a brighter future than the 76ers?
Well, they've gotten better every year under Brad Stevens. I think what they're doing this year is remarkable considering they don't have their top two stars. If you took Ben Simmons and Embiid out of the Sixers, would they be winning a series? Okay, because the Celtics are winning a series without Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward. That's unbelievable.
There's a coaching mismatch in that series. There's a reason why Jason Kidd got fired and the Bucks have somewhat underachieved given all their talent. And so, you know, I want to see Boston, if they advance from this series, what they do in the next series. Look, Hayward's coming off a very serious injury. We don't know how he's going to return. Kyrie's been a bit injury prone. So, you know, you're anticipating Kyrie and Hayward both being very healthy and coming back at 100%. I'm not so sure. All right, to college basketball, where a commission headed by former Secretary of State and UConn women's basketball star, Condoleezza Rice has nothing to do with basketball, has made several recommendations about how to fix college basketball, calling for an end to the one-and-done rule. Cowherd, do you agree that the one-and-done needs to go?
I never liked it. I think a golfer, a tennis player, a baseball player can go from 18 to the pros. College basketball, I just don't think you should stop opportunities for young people who are prodigies in science, tech, basketball, golf, tennis. I don't like the one and done.
I don't like the one and done, but I also don't like Condoleezza Rice fronting a bunch of rules that are really just rules to protect amateurism. And so what I wanted was a recommendation to end amateurism. That's the fix for college athletics, but that's not what they're paying Condoleezza Rice for. They're paying for her name and her brand, and she did a nice job here protecting amateurism. Good for her.